Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and here we check out Super Eyepatch World's Horror and Impossible Places, Liminal Spaces, and the Backrooms. Now, these are games, at least I think Liminal Spaces are games, I know the Backroom is a game, that involve horror. Which is why, despite knowing about them, I made a point to never learn anything else about them because I am a coward. This is something I heard was actually scary. No, I would normally stay completely far away from this, except Super Eyepatch Wolf makes good videos. I kind of like how he covers things that normally I would be absolutely freaked out by, to the point where I would never be able to survive watching or engaging with it in any shape or form, because I would literally die of a heart attack out of sheer fear. More importantly, you guys know the deal. Link below video. Hit it up. Let's get started.
You ever been to a place where time stops moving?
School.
Well, it's 2003 and a friend...
Yeah, actually 2003 is exactly when time stopped in school. I know this feeling well. I hated it.
...has just dropped me at a bus stop after a cinema viewing of the second greatest movie of all time,
What?
The Matrix Reloaded.
I'm assuming he was probably around my age, so teens. Early teens, and yeah, wow, his parents let him see that. 2, bad on them, because still better than Revolutions.
Thing is, I don't know where this place is, and what's more, it's empty. Like, really, really empty. No cars, no people, no houses. Just the rustling of the wind and this barren stretch of concrete. And something about that,
I have absolutely no idea what this is.
I glanced
assuming
at my
Ireland
Nokia
because he's Irish.
3310 and...
Dude, I remember phones like this. Holy shit, man. Talk about a blast from the past.
Oh dear, its battery has died, cutting me off from
This is like
contacting my
every
parents
horror
or
trope's beginning.
knowing what time it is.
What?
I don't like that.
Because it's dark?
I want to go home, but I don't know which way home is. And what's more, I've been here a while and I haven't seen a single bus, car, or person. Like I'm
Is that unusual?
standing in the frozen time of
Yeah,
some
probably Ireland.
empty photograph. I push down the creeping anxiety. This is ridiculous. The bus is going to come. Something has to happen, right? And
Oddly enough, this happened to me once already when I was like, probably even younger than he's talking about now. The bus had a field trip going on for some reason, but I had to get on a separate bus from everyone else because I honestly don't remember why. Because everyone else got dropped off by their parents and I had to take the bus from school directly to the... It was like some kind of, hey, let's meet the superintendent day or something like that at a community center. Bus took me to the wrong location. I had to figure out where the actual right one was and walk over. I didn't mind, but I'm pretty sure that was bad. I didn't know at the time that I lived in a bad neighborhood. Yeah, I got lucky. I still have a kidney. And it's not someone else's at this point and bought in a foreign country. Or America, who knows? In hindsight, it's actually a lot creepier.
an impossible amount of time passes.
What is that thing floating in the background?
I could just leave, but I don't know where I am, and what if the moment I do, the bus comes and I miss it? And that anxiety traps me.
Isn't that basically the premise of Waiting for Godot? There's an old play where it's basically two people arguing about the existence of God without ever saying it's the existence of God because they're waiting for God, but they call him Godot. It's bleak as hell and super annoying, personal opinion. But the entire thing is, you're waiting for someone, you don't know if they're going to arrive, but you have to keep waiting because the second you leave, you might miss them, and then it was all for nothing all the time you wait. So you did the sunk cost fallacy of just keeping waiting. It's basically this, we're played for horror because it's a young kid.
My mind grows exhausted trying to figure out how long I've been here, maybe hours, but what if it's more?
Is that
what if
blur
I've
moving in the
wandered
background?
into this strange sliver of reality, this space in between where time doesn't exist? And that's
I'm pretty sure that's
crazy,
an SCP,
but
like in its own right.
something about this place is so still.
I don't know why, but just having the setting sun or early dawn light against a super blurry stop sign is so incredibly normal that it actually is creepy alongside his emptiness quotes right now.
And wrong. And
Maybe that's just
what
me.
if that never changes? What if I never leave this place and I don't grow hungry or old or at all?
Oh yeah, that's
I just
definitely
spend
SCP
an
fodder.
eternity standing here waiting for a bus that will never come. And what if I stay that way till the end of time? Anyway, the bus did come.
He put himself in a bus background. I mean, can you imagine someone playing with their background? I mean, that would be really silly if they just did that.
As evidenced by me making this video. But I never really knew how to describe that hyper-specific feeling.
Oh, he did. See, I was just pulling out Waiting for Godot because it's just something I happen to know, because English major, you read a lot of nihilistic works. I'm not sure that was entirely nihilistic. It could have been one of the other movements from that era. Frankly, I felt nihilistic reading it because I'm like, oh god, this is reality. Which may or may not have been the actual intended point of it.
This fear that I had been caught in this place in between places. And then 17 years later, people started uploading weird photos of empty rooms to the internet.
Wait, seriously?
And I was like, oh, this is that feeling. Strange photos of empty spaces where reality feels altered would be a dramatic oversimplification of...
See, this is just unrealistic. This looks like a public bathroom, but it's clean. That never happens.
The phenomenon of liminal space. Images
Liminal.
which, much like the unexplainable VHS copy of Multiplicity that has dwelled in my local cafe's bookshelf...
I have literally never heard of this. Also, can I just acknowledge, this is the coolest looking thing ever. It's like the sewer design from a super retro, but also futuristic game, where you just have to sneak through the sewers, and this is what every single one looked like. You're definitely going to fight a boss down one of these alleys that just pops out when you're turning your back on it.
Like the unexplainable VHS copy of Multiplicity that has dwelled in my local cafe's
Literally never
bookshelf
heard of
for
this
nearly
before.
6 years now, imbue intense feelings of nostalgia,
Oh,
comfort,
God.
and unease. Photos of...
Wait, this is a real place here? Oh, that is actually a little weird.
liminal space have become massively popular online, and particularly in the last 3 years. I wonder why that could be.
This came out a year ago in 2023, and what happened 3 years prior to that? You know what? I have no idea. I'm never going to figure that one out. It's much too complicated. We're going to move on and never think about it again.
Viral images including everything from photos of empty swimming pools, video game background art with the characters removed, even paintings depicting these surreal low polygon landscapes. Basically, any image of an empty, vaguely man-made environment that gives off an uncanny feeling of familiarity.
I think this is in a video game, but I'm also not sure, and that makes it weirder.
Dissonance or foreboding, all of which
Yeah,
can
I
be felt
see
in
it.
what is generally considered the patient zero of liminal space imagery.
Honestly, I almost swear this is a real thing with edited on houses at the top. Just what is... I see why this is so creepy. It's like the encroachment of something so copy and pasted. It's just all going downhill, but literally it's a road down to the bottom that goes right up. It just looks so wrong. I don't even know why this creeps me out, but it is.
This picture, which was posted on April 21st, 2018, in a 4chan thread for cursed images.
Yeah, I completely get this. It's like the waiting room lobby from hell. I'm pretty sure I've been to a dentist's office that had this smell. I know what I said. You look at this image and tell me you're not smelling the musk of unwashed carpet that has just been degraded by all the people stepping on it, dragging in water, and just getting kind of moldy. But it's every now and again you have enough sediment brought in that it literally kills it off through sheer pressure. But then it collects and yellows because someone thought it's a good idea to smoke. So it's kind of staining the walls. And these were not actually starting yellow. I'm not projecting here at all. I need to move on, but I can't stop staring at it. I I don't like this. Moving on.
And this photo is weirdly controversial for reasons that we will get into, but for
What?
now, there's two
Oh God, we're gonna talk
questions
about
I
it more.
ask. One, why do these images make us feel like
I mean, this one isn't so much a controversial image. This is every single mall food court in the majority of malls. Empty. Honestly, it could be any number of different restaurants. In fact, this is not even representative because it looks like it's still in order. They should be empty. The sign should be missing. The actual bits of this should be slightly peeled off. That would look way more accurate to life.
this? And two, because it's Halloween-ish.
Wait, when was this up? Is it? Be it? It's ish. It's close enough for government work. Why not? Scheduling videos is hard and I am bad at it. Do not make fun of me. Well, I got bad news for you. I probably won't get to that because I'll be just terrified about anything you say beyond being able to make fun of you, so I won't get that far.
Why an image like this can make us feel so uneasy.
Isn't this the artistic style of realism populate or around the time Whistler came out? I think it was the 1900s on the early end before Impressionism and Modernism came up, but when they were still on the edge of everything has to be super realistic as the norm. I recognize this art style. Hell, I'm pretty sure I've seen the VH before, but I'm completely pulling a blank on the artist who does that signature.
And how that feeling can be escalated into true liminal horror. Someone recently asked me, do we have Halloween in Ireland? And it's like, we invented it, motherfucker!
Wait, seriously? Sam Hain. Irish! Gaelic festival marking the end of the beginning of... Oh. The Irish invented something. Which is a little surprising because I have Irish relatives who are absolutely super gung-ho Irish on everything. They never mention this. That's actually weird.
But before we get started, I think it's important to establish a
real or
baseline for that
pre-generated?
feeling of liminality. This is something that really needs to
Oh,
be
hell.
felt rather.
God, this is giving me school flashbacks, man. It's like the one supporting pillar with all the electricity just running down it because I haven't done anything with it. Oh God, the pegboard around everything about this is literally giving me flashbacks to going to like elementary school. It's not the reason it's terrifying for everyone else, but for me, it just than
described. And to do that,
Ooh,
I would like to share one of my favorite collections of images on the internet.
Oh no.
What you're
Everything he
looking
enjoys
at
is-
are the
whoa.
dream pools of Jared Pike,
What?
a series of images that take the 1970s swimming pool designs of Elan capillaries and folds them out into this beautiful infinity of overlapping tunnels and cavities.
So they're not real, but it's based on something that is real. Oh. I can kind of see it here, but it's just weird looking.
Folds them out into this beautiful
this is even
infinity
weirder.
of overlapping tunnels and
It's like the
caverns,
fading into the dark where the
stripping
light
away
doesn't
all
penetrate
the
that makes it
details,
creepy.
all the function, transforming them into this surreal, contextless world. And I mean, just look at these.
Oh, that looks like a death trap. I mean, spiral stairs in general, add water doesn't make it any worse. I think it's that it's so bright, but then you see the darkness just fading away beyond sight. If there was just two little dots that were slightly grayer than the rest of the blackness surrounding them, this would be absolute horror as opposed to just freaky.
The light spilling in from some unseen world above, the turquoise glow on the pool's surface.
See, this one doesn't look terrifying. This looks like you're about to enter a water level. Which admittedly is threatening for a completely different reason, but like this is where you get scuba gear and see what's at the bottom of this, man.
The fact that a place like this has no reason to exist and so probably never will.
No, I fully disagree with everything he just said. It will definitely exist because someone will be rich and see this and go, this is horrifying and terrifying and a critique of our society and what we should never do. I want to make it real. It's why there's probably someone who's going to name their technology company Skynet because irony is dead. In fact, I fully
combining
expect someone
into
made this by now.
feeling of staring into this surreal pocket reality, a place out of time, so alien, but somehow so familiar. So why?
The tile,
why does
the
this
water,
place
probably the smell
feel
of
like this?
chlorine.
Well, personally, I think there's 3 distinct factors that make it feel this way. And to unpack the first, we're going to do what is often done in videos like this. Talk about something a clever dead guy said many years ago. It's difficult to put meaning to images of emptiness, which is why we turn to the 20th century paper Betwixt and Between by anthropologist Victor Turner. In it, Turner describes how both we as individuals, as well as we as a society, exist in set states, and any new state is reached through a 3-part process. State A, or the separation, described as a detachment from a fixed point. State B, the consummation, where the new state is solidified, but in between these two is the margin, or limen, or
So liminal was between where we're separated versus where we're at it. So not sure what's going on, knowing what's going on, and not really being sure if we're there or not yet. So it's the familiarity which makes it creepy, because it's not quite at state B, and it's still empty and foreign, so it's not quite at state A. Okay, I get it.
Or, to put it another way, there is what was, there is what will be, and in between there is
uncertainty.
Liminal. These are the basic building blocks to liminality that you can apply to pretty much anything. If a caterpillar is state A and a butterfly state B, then the cocoon is the liminal space between. When the Scooby Gang roll up in their mystery machine, between them discovering a mystery and solving it, you know, the point where Scooby is like, I don't know, Shaggy. This guy sure killed a lot of people. I haven't watched Scooby-Doo in a while.
Oh wow, sorry. Things I didn't know I needed. Super Eyepatch Wolf impersonating Scooby-Doo. I'm glad I saw it. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm glad we got it.
I don't know how it goes. For that
it's close enough.
The show's plot exists in a state of liminality.
So it's not even. Oh. So I was taking it as more the uncertainty of not sure what's happening next. But he's putting it in as the journey as opposed to the destination in the beginning. Huh. Well, that's a different way to look at it.
But maybe the most recognizable state of liminality is just being a teenager. This point between childhood and adulthood where everything is in flux. Your body, your hormones, your social standing, your sexuality, your identity.
I have no idea what the show is.
Nothing is fixed. Everything is constantly changing as you become something different.
And then you find out later on that level of bullshit is normal. And it sucks, but that's what growing up is. It's not finding your place in the world. It's finding out that the world sucks and you just gotta live. I'm not jaded at all. Yeah. Joking aside, the biggest lie you ever tell someone is that you're going to grow up. You're as much of a dumbass as you were as a kid. You just made enough mistakes that you know which ones not to make again. And then you only make them a dozen more times this month. Speaking of gotcha games, what? No, I said nothing.
Liminality can be seen in the very small, waiting for a bus, boiling a kettle, an airplane ride, or the very large, changing jobs, moving home,
Ooh, okay, those are big state changes. Especially the changing jobs one. That is super stressful because you're not sure what is going to come next and the uncertainty. So it still is uncertainty, but it's uncertainty that you're not enjoying as opposed to the Scooby-Doo one where the journey and the uncertainty was the fun aspect of it. Okay. It almost seems like liminality to be horror needs the awkwardness of just being out of place, where it's uncertain, where it's not enjoyable. If you enjoy liminality, then it doesn't fit into the horror trope, huh?
Breakup or political revolution. The point is that liminality is an infinitely broad concept that each one of us has experienced over and over and over.
I mean, in that sense, you could say birth, living, death would be living as liminality, or liminality of that aspect. Yeah,
So,
it is very broad.
how do you capture that feeling visually? Well, maybe like this.
Because you know there's a journey, and you
Let's
have
take
no
our
idea what's at the
diagram
end.
of liminality and look at it instead as a blueprint for a hotel, with state A being the elevator, state B being your hotel room, and the liminal space between the hallway. Now, let's for a second just ignore how fucking insane a hotel like this would be and look at what liminal space imagery actually does.
I mean, there are SCP stories that talk about hotel rooms exactly designed like this. And I think there's a thought experiment where it has infinite rooms, so I think the thought experiment came first. There's a thought experiment specifically where you have an infinite number of guests with an infinite number of rooms, and to find out if you have enough, you could only add a room at the beginning and never the end because you have an infinite amount, so you can't really add to the end because there is no end, so you can only add to the beginning. So it doesn't really change the overall amount, it's just infinity plus the one you add for the one more guest who jumps in, because technically there's no max amount. But the max amount is already filled, so you have to add to the beginning. It's a level of theoretical math that I do not want to get into at all, any way, shape, or form. But it does exist. And frankly, it gives me as much nightmare fuel as this entire video probably will.
It removes the concept of state A, our origin, and state B, our destination.
Moving
so
without
that
understanding,
all that's left
stripping away the meaning.
is the present. And I think there's something powerful about that, and honestly, kind of what I love about hotels. Whenever I enter one, I always feel this deep sense of comfort. A comfort I've never seen better expressed than this old Tumblr post.
May have been an Imager blog. The source is a screenshot and it's difficult to tell. Oh yeah, Imager was the thing.
I really enjoy just existing in hotels. The long identical hallways, the soulless abstract art, the weird noises the air conditioner makes.
This entire sentence does not make sense to me. The long identical hallways, soulless art, noises that are weird. Everything about this so far is stress-inducing, and someone enjoys it? I mean, to each their own. It's not mine, that's for sure.
Strange city lights in the window.
Okay, I kind of enjoy that one.
6 stories off the ground.
My wife would kill me if I enjoyed that one.
Strangers chatting in the hall.
Fuck that.
Nothing in the dresser. No past, but an infinite presence.
The vast majority of everything we just read is a stressful situation. It's so disconnected. And I'm sure that's why I would probably find liminal space art terrifying. But I guess there's other people who look at it and see it as the absolute most amazing, relaxing thing ever. Because at least one person does.
This is why hotels, and particularly their hallways, feature so heavily in liminal imagery. They are these transitory spaces we are only ever meant to dwell in.
I mean, even this is more personality than some of the other things he said.
For short periods of time in between more fixed states. And that's a common factor in a lot of environments that are considered liminal. Late night diners, cinema lobbies, or swimming pools. These spaces designed to be passed through. And it's for that reason these spaces hold no real identity of their own. And there's something to that. If you're in your home or your job or out at a bar, restaurant, or sporting events, those places say something about you just by virtue of you being there.
Even that, they have an identity of their own. They have a purpose. They have something people actively want out of them. Which is probably the entire point. Because these are empty places we're looking at right now.
Your lifestyle,
stripped of the
finances, your interests, the kinds of people you hang around. But in a liminal space, these places in between, whether it's a hotel hallway or something else,
that carpet,
they have no identity. And in turn, press no identity on.
Tell me you're an unbuilt baggage claim without telling me you're an unbuilt baggage claim. I'm not just saying this right now because I need to distract myself because I find this deeply disturbing and the emptiness is freaking me out a bit. I'm trying very hard not to think about it, but I'm failing and it's freaking me out.
Onto us, and as a result, there is just possibility. We are free. I think this is a huge part of why images of liminal space can feel so strangely comforting.
I don't think I'm the person to find it comforting. This is very much art that freaks me out, and I get that description. I guess it's probably one of those to each their own. Liminal spaces are very much either absolutely terrifying because they're so disconnected, or absolutely refreshing because they're disconnected. It's the exact same understanding of the exact same art, taken in completely different directions of how it's interpreted once you meet that understanding. This one, it's the emptiness, it's the chairs, it's being a taller building than the Empire State Building most likely, so I don't even want to think about where this was taken from. It makes it freaky.
And you can see how all this applies to dream pools. This transitory emptiness that lets us exist outside the boundaries of context or identity. To me, this is the first pillar of what makes something feel liminal, which brings us to the second.
Oh?
The feeling of, wait, have I been here before?
No. Literally never have. Never thought that in any of these places. And if I had, I would have been so freaked out it probably wiped itself from my memory out of sheer horror. Yeah. Also, really, who designs a house with that odd angle? And, oh, God, you can't really do anything with this. You can't put anything there. It just gets cornered schmutz everywhere.
By now, I'm guessing at least a few of you have seen an image on screen that felt strangely nostalgic.
You know, I just said I never felt that anywhere, and what was it, just like back just a little ways, and talking about the bus stop, and I remembered that, and maybe well, you can't see it because it's off screen, I just realized, but there's the bus stop, and he was like the thing that reminded me of school. I mean, because it's soulless and has no identity, it can then assume any identity that it immediately sticks with you, because it could be anything. It's just close enough. Yeah.
My personal favorite example of this being this fucking thing.
Seriously?
Even now,
this one I don't get, though.
So sure I've been here. A relative's house I visited one time. I can remember being here. I can remember the cream carpet between my toes, playing with toys in the oddly cavern-like staircase. But the thing is, that never happened because 8.7 thousand people.
That one family member's living room that you visited once in your childhood. Yeah, I never had that, if only because my family members were so incredibly messy. I never knew what color carpet they had. I know what I just said. It was disturbing. My family's a bunch of neat freaks. I'm pretty sure my dad had a panic attack and maybe anal attentively cleaned the house, gave up after he had to use a shovel on the carpet. Everything I just said should be a joke. And if any of my family members ever watch this, they will know it's not, and I will get some unpleasant text messages about it again. So yeah. If this was just covered in schmutz, that would be different.
People had that same
Power Ranger
feeling.
toys.
And what I'm actually remembering is likely an amalgamation of different friends and families' homes all slotting together
Because
in this
memory
one
is elastic.
image, creating
Yeah, that
this
would do it.
uncanny memory that never happened. And it's that feeling that is so common in liminal imagery.
I'll be honest, I know I haven't been here, but it looks like something out of Cyberpunk. It looks like something out of Everywhere, Everyone, All at the Same Time. I know I have the name of the movie wrong, but it looks like something from the marketing of that movie. I don't know this space, but I've seen so many places like it. It's actually freaky.
These places from your memories, places you stopped thinking about long ago, but now, here, in these frozen images, they still exist. Barren rooms with outdated TV sets, offices full of old computers.
I mean, that's not liminal space. That's just going to work in most places that don't involve fast food, which is still a worse job, but Also, I'm pretty sure this was one of the settings used in The Matrix in the very beginning of the first one. Neo was an office worker, wasn't he? Also, it's every Dilbert cartoon.
Abandoned malls
Comic?
or shopping centers, as we...
This is where I used to buy Street Sharks. Wait, you can buy those? Oh. Wait, it's actually called Nut Grove. Go to the end. Hey, you guys want to go to the Nut? I could see why maybe that wasn't the best branding.
Refer to them in Ireland. Places frozen in time, filled with signs for businesses that are no longer relevant.
This is Dan Bell.
With interior
the music.
and architecture
Freaky, but,
all
like,
echoing
haunting.
the decisions of people from an age left behind.
And they have the water traps, the pallets left up. I wonder if this is taken from someone who was just doing urban decay pornography. It's an entire brand of video where you have someone who just usually breaks into an abandoned or condemned building and walks around it exploring the debris left behind when people stop maintaining it and abandon a space that is still in an urban setting. It's creepy because without the light, without the maintenance, you see how fast society and things we build break down. It's incredibly terrifying because of that. Sometimes incredibly beautiful when there's nature involved, and when there's none of that, it is just depressing and bleak.
Those markers of the past now sometimes crumbling into destitution. These are all places we have been. Nostalgic places that were once filled with people and life, but now empty, having lost their purpose. Because we have abandoned them. Just like we'll eventually leave all spaces, even the space you're watching this video from.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the screen blank here because I want you to look around at the room you're in right now. Look at its walls, look at its corners, feel the shape of this place underneath its decorations, the different ways you or someone else have imprinted an identity onto this space. Whatever your relationship with it is, at some point you will abandon it. You will stop thinking about it. And this place will become empty with only the weakest echoes that you were ever here. And that's true of every place you are, every place you were.
Enforcing the transience of existence. And instead of the deep-rooted family dwelling that you have generations with, you have the other structure, which is you are here while you are here, and then when you're gone, no one knows. I can see how that's very much an entire concept that philosophically some people would never get, and other people, probably closer to me, would entirely resonate with. Because my family moves around. I've had multiple houses. I don't really get hung up on that because I'm so used to the idea that, yeah, we're here on a temporary basis. It's not permanent. And that is never going to be anything other than the case. And even when you're in your family home, you've paid off and you're an old man, you're just going to be dragged out of it to a nursing home eventually. So it's all temporary. But then I know other people who, this is the family home. This is where you live. This is where everything happens. And it'll always be that way. And the concept of it not being permanent, the impermanence itself is a foreign idea. And I think everything that we're saying right now would be even more terrifying because of it. Which is probably one of the few times where I'm not the most afraid of this concept. Because normally that is the exact opposite. I'm terrified of everything.
To me, there's a kind of haunting comfort to that idea that stillness comes to.
Don't take it that way, though. I do not find it comforting. I just don't find it terrifying.
Remind us of that.
Why, though?
This uncanny nostalgia is the second pillar of liminality. And again, you can see how it applies to dream pools.
I mean, there is a beauty in this with the light and the water. And you can imagine there's like a soft lapping as the ripples from you are resonating out. But then you notice that there's ripples and you don't know really sure where they're coming from because they don't look like they're originating from the viewer either. And then just the darkness through there. This little part right here is one of the most terrifying things I can imagine. Whereas much of the rest is bright and sunny and interesting. It really feels more like it's intended to be terrifying. But again, I think this is my perspective coloring that more than anything else.
As mentioned, these were based off the 1970s capillaries pools, and I mean, just try and find a swimming pool that hasn't borrowed that aesthetic. The dream pools taking your memories of those places and folding them out into this beautiful and surreal dreamlight.
It's just something that we used to know. Yeah. It's memory adjacent because it's similar enough. Okay, I get that part.
Structure. You have been here. You just haven't, because that is impossible. The reason I say impossible is because the dream pools aren't real. They are
I mean, I know that they're not real. I'm just assuming someone has seen it and been rich and stupid enough to make it. It doesn't look so much real as it looks like a mock-up of an artist who isn't sure what they want to build yet.
a 3D environment created in Blender. But to me, that feeling of artificiality or uncanny.
Why did the human viewpoint have claws? You know, I'm not going to ask about that. I don't know anything about Blender in the slightest, so I'm just going to ignore it.
Uncanniness only adds to the liminality. There's actually a really interesting 2022 study that explores the concept of uncanniness in physical spaces, specifically trying to recreate the N curve of the uncanny valley.
Yeah. Moving? Still. Still is a stuffed animal, is familiar. Human likeness, and then zombie at the most prosthetic hand is so creepy. A corpse is creepy when not moving. Ugh. A Bunraku puppet? The uncanny valley, where things are so completely weird that you can't really accept it. Huh. An industrial robot has no familiarity. Huh.
But in rooms and environments instead of
God, that is freaky,
faces. Man. And they were successful, with the vast majority of photos from the study being deeply liminal, or at the very least sharing heavily liminal aspects.
I mean, this one is just every gym at this point, just with less lighting. I wonder if that's actually why most mega gyms have extra windows to get rid of this feature. That said, the one behind it with the multiple stalls. No, not even stalls. Individual toilets all looking at each other with what looks like a layer of water on the floor, and you're all just like group pooping. Competitive pooping, even. Yeah, this one freaks me out, but for probably a very different reason.
And so, why is that? Why is it that even the most mundane liminal images have this uncanny quality? Well, I think a part of it's the transitory nostalgia we've already talked about, but I think there's something else here too. There's a type of liminal space imagery that gets very weird. Okay, yeah, I see it. This one is the exit sign with nothing there, floating above an empty black and white. It almost looks like a lake or a river. But then this one right here. Space imagery that. This is terrifying, where you think, oh, hey, we're just in there. Then you realize you're looking in the pool upside down where the water is actually the surface, and there's the way out. It's inverted. And because it looks like ripples because of the shade or change in color, it's so weird. They literally, if you turn it upside down or right side up, it makes perfect sense. But upside down makes you think this is the top, and you see it reflected in the water. Where you realize the color is actually being absorbed from here, which is projecting it, and the blue gets rid of it. But the reflection from the underside of the water surface shows all the red. It just makes it so creepy, man. Gets very weird. Yeah. With ethereal, unnatural lighting, environments that seem to bend physical dimensions or stretch on far longer than they should. You know, this one probably does exist somewhere. And it was just someone going, they needed another restroom to finish out this building. We're doing it. And then there's like a little murder hole right above it. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know what's going to be for. But I know exactly which word I chose. I'm standing by it because that's what it's going to be used for. Should rooms that feel less like anything a human would design and more AI like these abstract approximations. No, this is probably an artist project someone has made in like a full room exhibit.
This feels very much like an art installation.
Of living space designed without purpose or function. And what's really interesting is how people have pushed that surreal quality by taking these images out of reality entirely.
Just adding the water makes us creepy. Anything short of that, and I would just say this is what should probably be a room in a Lego exhibit for a pool. Just the water makes it freaky.
Twitter user
Deodim?
Oh god.
Guidim? How do you say your name? Or how do you pronounce your name?
Twitter user Joji has built a following from massively viral digital paintings of these eerie, haunting, low polygon landscapes. These are very obviously not real, but
I think the same reason they're scary is the same reason I found the pools crazy and terrifying. It's not what you're seeing. It's that hint that there's something foreign and unknown right out of view that the light can't penetrate. And having the little polygon bright cactus flower, whatever that is, right in front of it highlights it even more because it makes it seem even darker by comparison.
that artificiality only adds to the liminal feeling. Like, these are spaces that have been so forgotten, drifted so
it's literally
far
the
from our
darkness that makes
reality
it terrifying.
that they now barely resemble it. And while I hold no real nostalgia for Minecraft, I have to imagine that if you do, these images hit on an entirely different level. Maybe
I am definitely one of those people who does not have that understanding of Minecraft, and I find them freaky. So I'm assuming if I went to certain family members who lived this, they would be really freaked out by it.
the most exciting thing about these artificial liminal worlds, though, is the opportunity to exist in them. Which brings us to one of my favorite things I discovered over the course of researching this video.
What?
A free Steam game called The Complex found footage.
Oh, it's
The
literally
Complex
exploring
takes
these.
the environments of liminal space imagery and recreates them in these meticulously crafted 3D worlds. And
Oh, this is actually 3D. And that's why there's the bit of a curve at the edge, because you're literally doing this through 3D glasses. Or, well, headset, whatever.
after staring at these images for weeks, I cannot overstate how powerful an experience it was to be able to walk around inside them. The Dream Pool stage in particular being one of the most serene, eerie, and liminal experiences I've ever had.
I think I get what he's talking about, just because I'm not sure it's picked up on camera, but like I legitimately got goosebumps just watching the screen as it was moving through it and looking around, giving you that perspective of movement, and it hits really different. And a lot of it is probably that background music because it is so incredibly creepy, like legitimately terrifying. But it really does hit differently when you have the way to move around it. It doesn't feel like a picture. It feels like you're invading a space you're not meant to stay, which is the entire point of it. I don't get why he finds them, therapeutic or relaxing. But again, I think it's because we're looking at the same thing from very different perspectives.
And it made me realize something. Wandering around these environments that are devoid of purpose or function, spaces that feel slotted together from fragmented memories and
Everything about
experiences,
this freaks me
it
out.
was the feeling of existing in a dream. Over the years, other games have attempted to recreate that
Maybe it's just me, but those flashes were giving me a headache, man.
feeling, like LSD Dream Emulator, but maybe the most successful and impactful was a Japanese indie title uploaded June 26th, 2004. Yume Nikki Dream Diary is a...
I think I've heard of this. I don't know why I've heard of it, but I've heard of Yume Nikki. It's been referenced in something, and I do not know why. Where have I heard of this before?
There's no goal, no combat, not even a fail state. What there is you and a massive abstract dream world.
What
I
the-
hate saying stuff like this because it always feels like a cop-out, but there's nothing I can say that's going to describe the feeling of you sitting down late at night with a pair of headphones and just letting this game happen. Getting lost in its massive, bizarre world and discovering these surreal and unsettling things that wait there as it swims back and forth between places that kind of resemble our reality
Oh, yeah, what he
to
mentioned earlier about the bus
sprawls
stop.
of more eerie, abstract landscapes.
What?
Yume Nikki had a huge impact on early online indie games, practically spawning its own subgenre to the point that it now even has merch on Fangamer.
Oh, shit. Maybe that's why I know it, because it's just so popular. I've seen reference to it other places.
And that's because I think Yume Nikki captured the same thing that the most powerful and surreal liminal space imagery does.
White flowers?
The feeling of existing in this impossible world between sleep and our waking reality.
Oh?
Dreams being the original liminal spaces.
You never stay and barely
Transitory
remember.
emptiness, uncanny nostalgia, and a surreal, artificial, or dreamlike quality.
Mm-hmm.
These to me are the three pillars of liminal imagery, and any liminal space is likely going to have one or more of these qualities.
Honestly, again, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't brought up how so many of them had that darkness as an aspect to hide what isn't shown. Not that it can't be dark, but it's explicitly letting you know that there's things about this you can't see when everything else is bright and creepy, and there's just that little aspect of the unknown in there. That I kind of want him to say that part, but I guess that's more the horror aspect as opposed to the liminal space itself. So it's probably more of a it just happens to be here as opposed to a codifying element.
But it's worth noting that liminality
Although I will stick to my idea about darkness making it terrifying because goddamn man, this is nightmare fuel to me. One, it would involve going out in public and waiting, and two, it would involve darkness in a big empty open space. I'm assuming there's someone who's just going to stab me on principle at this point.
is subjective. The pictures and qualities I find liminal may not be what you do, and that's
I mean, I find them liminal. I just find them terrifying on top of that.
because I think these feelings are deeply rooted in our past as well as just who we are.
Yeah.
I think that's also why when you do find that one image that just hits you, I don't know how else to put it. It's a
I've seen this effect in real life photography where the cloud cover or whatever the horizon is just perfectly blends in and hides it. But this looks more like digital photography as opposed, or not digital, but like specifically manipulated images are completely faked. Mostly because the board are too consistent.
personal, powerful experience. And for me, this is that image.
What?
And just, goddamn, the emptiness, the stillness, the amber sunset seeping.
And the way it's all so perfect that it looks hyper clean, but you could see it a million different places you've been, and it's empty. Yeah, I see it.
In through the fogged window glass, the impersonal curves of the tables and chairs.
70s style,
This could be any
or even
interior
50s
of
and
any
60s.
diner from the last 60 years.
Yeah.
The immaculate polished gleam on everything, whispering that this place might not even be real. Yet it just feels so familiar. I know I've never been here,
But you've been to at least 100 different places that are this place, just slightly different.
I have.
Yeah.
I've stopped here on long drives through unfamiliar roads. I've sat here with a friend picking at cold food till 2 a.m. I've eaten here alone, worrying about shit that probably never mattered. A dozen different memories that all bleed together and overlap in this impossible kaleidoscope of what used to be, all captured in the empty space of this place I have never been. And for as sentimental as all this is, I do think it's experiences like this that are at the heart of why liminal spaces resonate so strongly with people.
And that's why we're having different experiences with it, where I find this entirely terrifying. For him, it's comforting because it has root in his memories where he's done things like this. Where I'm looking at it as, it looks similar to places I know about, but the difference is that the emptiness is freaking me out because I've never seen them that way. And the emptiness terrifies me, where for him, the familiarity is reminding him of when he had other experiences with or without people, the good and the bad. So it's a different interpretation of how he's interacting with his memories, and it's being sparked by the liminal space. Okay. I think I see where he's coming from.
So what the fuck does any of that have to do with horror? Well,
I mean, I get the horror aspect. That part makes a lot of sense. It's the rest of what you said that I had to struggle with.
up until now, honestly, not a lot.
No, some of those were freaking terrifying, man. Okay, maybe that's just me because I'm a coward, but I see the horror part.
But I would now like to talk about a moment from the complex which scared me in a way that I don't know anything else has.
Nope, we're done. We're done for the day. Nope. Okay, so I was moderately freaked out by everything he was showing so far, and the fact that this is the not scary portion that didn't freak him out, and I'm already sitting here going like, yeah, I see it, but also, what the fuck, man? It's not making it easier. So I know myself right now, I would like to maintain bowel control. I'll come back on this when I've had a nice cup of tea, I've sat down, I've petted a cat. I might have brought a cat with me in here, and I'll watch the next video just stroking them the entire time because, well, they'll probably sit there for like 5 minutes before they just claw up my back and decide to sit on my hair again. It's all cute, except they have nails that really dig into the skull, but it gets everywhere. Blood's hard to get out of the carpet because of that. But more importantly, I'm going to stop now because I know me, and I will get really freaked out because I'm already pre-freaked out by all the stuff that wasn't scary. Yeah. His experience with liminal spaces is very different from mine. I take a much more what the fuck approach to all of it, even when it's not entirely the intention, it seems. It's probably why atmospherics in video games scare me almost as much as the actual jump scares. So I will be back next week with said cat and a lot of good reasons to not be scared. Like a bar of chocolate, my wife gave me a massage in the background. I mean, she would enjoy the horror, so that actually might not be better, but she'd be getting into it. It's like, ooh, that's funny. Right at the point where I'm about to scare myself, and I'll just start shouting, oh, why did you do that? I forgot you were there. I'm so terrified. It's only happened twice on stream, and I don't need to talk about that anymore because people might find it. Well, I said nothing. I had to cut nothing out there. But more importantly, I'm curious, but I'm going to save it for a next time for my own maintaining bowel control reasons. You guys know the deal. Link below video. Hit it up. If you haven't already, why? Fix that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.